Evan Flood, Badger 24/7 here with 2014 safety Marcus Collins. Marcus and Lafollette on the losing end of a game against Memorial tonight, 24-21. For starters, Marcus, obviously you play both positions well, safety and wide receivers. Talk about what you bring to the table offensively and defensively.
Well, I'd say on offense, I bring a big body in where the quarterback can look either way. You can put the ball in a wide range and I can go get it. And then in the running game, I can block, I can go to side end, and I can take out anybody on the field. There's nobody I can't block. On defense, I love my DBs. They're the best DBs in the conference, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. So they make my job easy by taking out their man, and we have really good communication, and I have really good vision to get up in the running game. So I think our defense is pretty solid.
Is there a position you prefer at this point?
To a point, I might have to say safety on defense. That's more instinctual, and that's kind of my game. But I'm wide open for whatever. And it doesn't have to be one of those positions. I can play anything for this outside linebacker, tight end, or D-end at one point. So,
can you talk about the school showing you interest right now?
Yes. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
What else schools are showing you interest at this point?
I'd have to say a couple of Big Ten schools, Wisconsin, Minnesota's been pretty persistent, Nebraska, Oregon State, UCLA sent me a couple letters. I've been in close contact with Cornell. I have a cousin who plays there, and then a few other Ivy Leagues in Harvard, Dartmouth, and Yale. And then I've heard from a couple MAC schools. I possibly might go down to Ball State for a game. I've been to Northern Illinois last year, and Michigan State's been another top Big Ten school that's been looking at me.
And you recently got to visit Wisconsin. Just talk about that visit and what kind of stood out to you there.
Wisconsin, I mean, I grew up going to Wisconsin, so everything's always been great there. And the game atmosphere, the night games are unbelievable. Reporting back like 2 years back when they played against Ohio State, and that was an unbelievable atmosphere, and it's just the same type of electricity every week in and week out.
All right, and what's been going on between you and their coaching staff lately?
I've talked with Coach Ass over Facebook, and I've sent him my link to my highlight tape, and I just recently asked him for some feedback on that, so I'll see what he has to say about that. My receiver position coach is close friends with Coach Faulkner, so they've been in close contact back and forth, so I'll see what Coach Higgs has to say about that, but that's what that's mainly been.
And you also got to visit Minnesota this year. Just talk about that visit and what kind of stood out to you about Minnesota?
Minnesota it was a really large campus, but it was one of the nicest campuses I've ever seen, with the green grass and the layout, and everything was well maintained, and a brand new stadium, which they're going to add on. Even though it's 50,000 now, it has the possibility of getting up to like an 90,000 fan seating, and it already had the NFL atmosphere, and that was a great environment to go into.
All right, and last week you got to see Nebraska knock off Wisconsin. Just talk about that atmosphere down there and everything.
Nebraska, yeah, that was pretty fun. I mean, it's bittersweet they're taking out my home team, but I'm all for the Huskers, and they played a great game. The sidelines were going crazy. The fans were way into it. The fans were crazy when it came to seeing the players, the recruits walking up and down the aisles. They were very gracious and wanted to know who everybody was, and everybody was just so nice in Nebraska.
And you talked a couple weeks ago about how Minnesota was kind of the school showing you the most interest right now. Just talk about what's been going on between you and their staff.
I recently sent them my midseason highlight tape as well, and I sent that to the recruiting coordinator, Coach G, and so I asked him for some feedback as well, and I'm looking for him to get back to me with that. And I don't know, Coach Z, he seemed like a top-notch guy, so I'll see what he has to say, because he's somebody I want to keep in touch with.
Are there any other visits you're looking to take here for the rest of the fall?
I'm looking to get to Michigan State, not this weekend, but next weekend, but I got to see what time the game is, because it's still to be determined. So we'll see how that works out, but we want to get out there at some point, as well as Minnesota, or possibly Minnesota again, Illinois at one point, Iowa, maybe whatever other schools you can get to around here.
Now, growing up in the Madison area, are your ties to Wisconsin, pretty big, and how does that play a factor in your recruitment, when things go forward here?
It's pretty big considering how my dad played there and whatnot, and we've had season tickets, so I've grown up going to every single game, and I mean that has a really big impact on me, considering how my dad calls that home, and my dad's like my idol, so I would do anything for him, and he turned out like the great man he turned out to be, and he went to UW Madison, but I want to find my own path, and that happens for Wisconsin, then it'll be Wisconsin, but otherwise I'm wide open.
Yeah, let's talk about the challenge of that. Obviously, you want to keep an open mind to every school, but, you know, obviously growing up here with your dad playing there, you know, how tough is it to, you know, give every school a fair chance?
Well, it's not as hard as I thought it would be. I mean, I still go to, if I had an off weekend, like this weekend, if it wasn't our homecoming, I'd probably be going to the Badger game, whether it was an invite or with our season tickets. So, I mean, I forgot the question.
Just talk about, you know, the draw to Wisconsin and, you know, for you with kind of the emotional ties there. You know, how tough is that to, you know, keep an open mind with other schools, you know, kind of having that pull towards the Badgers and everything?
Again, yeah, since my dad was there, and like he knows, he has so many connections around there, whether it's like in the admissions offices or like personal counselors, he still knows all of them, and they know me. I've met them all, and I'm at Barry Alvarez at Point, so it really ties in and makes a big impact on me. But it's not something that's gonna take a big toll on my decision.
And do you have any connection with or relationship with some of the other Madison guys here, you know, getting looked at by Wisconsin? Obviously, you just played against two of them tonight, in Jester Weah and Darius Fountain.
Yeah, I mean, I've played against Jester in basketball since like 6th grade, and Darius is somebody I just met close coming up into high school. So we're looking to get some type of 7-on-7 team going for next year, maybe. We got a pretty solid group of guys coming around here, and whether it's local, like Sun Prairie or Middleton, we got a good group of guys that I've got a good relationship with.